point appearance barrel, navigation point appearance bishop, the engineer master aircraft sonar, George, you have some intimate experience of the programme that became we have number 14 squadron here, of course, as well, with the Beechcraft Shadow R1, and in the future, number 51 squadron will have the RC-135B rivet joint procured under the Air Seeker programme, and some major development work scheduled on this airfield to accommodate those aircraft in the future.
Yes, it's got a semi-rigid titanium head actually, Ben. I thought this is something that many people dream of, but it enables it to really, well, exactly, just as he thought it hard over there, and indeed in terms of also pushing it to the edge of the envelope in terms of G, and also the angle of attack when you're actually putting the blades into the air system. It's got enormous flexibility, and that's why the Army Mark 7 actually can turn upside down and roll at the same time. It's all due to that amazing rotor head.
The Navy Lynx, though, can't do those aerobatic manoeuvres, and nor can the Wildcat, can it?
No, it's not cleared. In fact, the Wildcat front end will look very similar to this aircraft. It's just the rest is inside, and also a slight change to the fuselage, and as I mentioned, those uprated engines. So here we are coming back into the hover now. We'll probably do a little bit of a reverse transition with the crewman this time. His co-pilot alongside him will be checking all the T's and P's of this. It's essential that the pilot concentrates on the flying angles, and the co-pilot here will keep him steady on the display line.
T's and P's,
temperatures and pressures.
And it has to be a manoeuvrable helicopter Lynx because it has to operate from some pretty small decks of various types of Royal Navy ship. They fly from all of our Type 42 destroyers and Type 22 frigates. They also operate from the ice patrol ship HMS Endurance. Also some of the Type 23 frigates, which normally carry the Merlin, which we'll be seeing shortly, and the Type 45 destroyers. And I'm sure the Wildcat will be seen on the Royal Navy's new aircraft carriers in the future as well.
Yes, can't wait. I mean, I take my hat off to these guys, the heaving, lumpy seas that they fly in, absolutely extraordinary conditions. And really an enormous success, and great export as well to other navies. Really a very, very good success story. But the limitations on these aircraft are not as expansive as the Mark 7, and that's frankly will be the end of aerobatic manoeuvres. Now, we mentioned that this was a solo black cat, and it's not just because the squadron badge has a very large cat on it, but of course there's a famous game of spoofing in the Royal Navy, which is known as black catting, and hence that was the name of their team derivative many years ago when they transformed it from the Lynx pair. Now I think we're about to see something of the Lynx's ground agility being demonstrated with that wheeled undercarriage. The helicopter will be brought into touch down on the runway and undertake some turns on the tarmac. The decks of some of the ships from which these helicopters operate, George, really are very small, as you mentioned. Often they'll be pitching and heaving in heavy seas. Yes, you get a lot more stability and obviously manoeuvrability with the wheels, but of course you need to clamp them on pretty quickly, and what happens is the crew on board the back of the deck will have a clamp which would go right under the centre fuselage of the helicopter and literally haul it back down onto the deck, and that is the way that is secured, and then of course they pack it away afterwards. But equally so, manoeuvring in a large aircraft carrier down in the hangars, the wheels are it's just so much easier to move an aircraft around with wheels on it. So there we are, he's lifting back off now, having shown you that manoeuvrability on the ground, rearwards transition here, and I suspect as he gets towards the top of this rearwards climb, he'll just dip the nose down and say hello. And another one of the rules today, there you go, is a wave and nod your head and a quick sort of shout out to all the crews today, all working very hard. They're just as hot as you are. So whenever you get one of those, then please join in, won't you? Thanks very much.
The Lynx can take on enemy ships with sea skewer missiles, enemy submarines with Stingray torpedoes or depth chargers, and smaller surface targets using machine gun pods or sniper rifles. Indeed, these helicopters often work with winchmen or maritime sniper teams, depending on their role on board alongside the pilot and the observer. So obviously minimum crew for display purposes, so just the two on board today.
Absolutely, no need. In display work you only fly with the people you actually need to handle the aircraft.
Even when you see the Chinook later on, it will have people in the back, but they're there also for safety reasons, and you'll understand why when you see the Chinook display.
702 Naval Air Squadron providing this Lynx display, feeds in air and ground crew to the frontline Lynx Unit 815 Naval Air Squadron. They come to the unit fresh from their basic helicopter training with the Defence Helicopter Flying School at RAF Shawbury, all from the Navy's Observer Training Squadron 750 Naval Air Squadron, which used to fly the Jetstream. It's now got the new Beechcraft Avenger, and you can see an example of that down towards the right-hand end of the static display.
Yes, I bet they're great. Many years ago, of course, they used to do all that work on the old Jetstreams, and so they're really moving up into the high-tech era with the 350 Avenger. It's a delightful aircraft. So you'll see you're in a pair of Navy helicopters in your view now to the left-hand side as the Lynx is about to complete its test and intelligence test. So really first-class job.
The Lynx HNA 8 variant, the Mark 8 upgraded Mark 3s. It really is a very capable helicopter, even though it is going to be replaced in fairly short order. We look forward very much to seeing the Wildcat in display duty in the future.
Yes, I think probably we need to get back to the pairs work, to be honest. In display terms, it's a very long flyline for a small aircraft, although this is quite heavy indeed for its mass length. But nonetheless, as you can see, there's 2 miles to cover. Then another one would just really add a bit of style and panache to this descent.
Nonetheless, an admirable job done by the display crew from the 702 Naval Air Squadron of Lieutenant Simon Dixon and Lieutenant Rick Bell on the Westland Lynx HNA 8 SRU, another helicopter going off from the left-hand end, the Army Air Corps Apache, I think, having a short air test before its later displays.
Absolutely right, just capturing a quick glimpse of that. So 3 choppers in the sky right now. This is all getting very exciting. Yes, they're just going to check out the blade issue just to make sure that it is in tip-top condition for their display. Now that's the way to arrive at an air show. You definitely know Jamie Norris is here, and there's a Typhoon.
He's from number 29 Reserve Squadron, the Typhoon Operational Conversion Unit at RAF Coningsby. There he goes into that.
Jamie will be pulling up to 9 keys. That is 9 times. He's got a full body suit to help him mitigate his own self against the G pressure. In quick succession.
That's where you roll one way and turn the other, as we saw. And the gear coming down now. This isn't his slow pass, this comes later. It is a slowish pass, of course. But he'll be cleaning the aircraft up and accelerating away from this.
Yes, the speeds in the landing configuration are slightly different from his main high alpha pass, but nonetheless you can see to go from 600 knots back down to about 150, remarkable range.
Without the use of afterburner. Extraordinary. Well, well,
on the top of the wings there.
Well, being a warm day, of course, the air can hold more moisture than it can on a cold day. That's a little bit of meteorology for you there.
And this is his outside push. He's rolled the aircraft inverted and pushing round this turn to show you the upper surfaces.
Lower speed part.
That we've seen in the flying display at Waddington, the HM2 variant of the Merlin, newly upgraded from the earlier HM1 standard. And of course, all of the UK military's Merlins, including those of the Royal Air Force as things stand, are going to be transferred into Royal Navy service.
Yes, I think the Navy are really looking forward to that. Of course, the big difference essentially being the software and the presentation of information at the front end of the cockpit. Much of the analog stuff is now all completely gone, and this is all now digitally presented via screens at the touch of a button. So everything is there ready to hand much faster, but of course it's the software that also drives the equipment on board, which has all been upgraded as well.
An upgrade led by Lockheed Martin.
In command of this helicopter today is Lieutenant Ben Morgan. He's obviously the display pilot who's been qualified for this year. He's a QHI, a qualified helicopter instructor. He's previously served on 814 and 829 squadrons as well as HMS Richmond.
824 Squadron, the unit on which he serves, is like 702 with the Lynx, the conversion unit for the Royal Navy's Merlin force. They've got 8 helicopters on their strength. And once again they cover the whole spectrum of submarine hunting, boarding operations such as will be undertaken on anti-piracy duties, search and rescue as well. We'll see something of that demonstrated during this display, specifics of counter-piracy and general transport work.
And alongside Ben in the other seats, co-piloting today is Lieutenant Andy Bird. He's also clearly serving as an instructor on the same squadron as Lieutenant Morgan, but previously served on HMS Westminster during the Liberty campaign we mentioned earlier on.
Here, close up. As I said, they will all soon be Navy Merlins. That's part of a transition within the Commando helicopter community, isn't it, George?
Yes, very much so. And actually what I was about to go on to was also talking about the length of training. Given the huge range of roles that an aircraft like this can perform, that explains why it takes so long. In actual fact, the conversion training time is up to 15 months on the Merlin, which is even longer than the Apache helicopter. But nonetheless, it is just testimony to the amount of different equipment that you have to get to be very familiar with, as well as the handling of the aircraft, and indeed its operational applicability, given the wide variety of different roles that they're employed with on operations as well. Manoeuvring is very, very gently actually. This is not as large as the Chinook, of course, in terms of weight, and it certainly has got a huge amount of power, but very, very gentle and nimble handling here from the crew. Really super fast.
And this too has been something of an export success on a WH1 Merlin, call it what you will, with a number of customers having signed up for it, particularly around Europe. One thinks of the air arms of Portugal and Denmark.
Yes, not surprisingly Italians too, because of course Augusta Air actually owns the company. So in the tail end of their display sequence now. Really good, just showing off all the different shapes, sizes, and different sides and angles of the machine. Each display pilot does his very best to show you every surface that the aircraft has to offer. Audience participation is required here today, so it's hats, umbrellas, ice creams, whatever you happen to have, give them all away. If you're going to listen on here, as the equipment that you have paid for yourselves. So enjoy it and give them away as they depart. So Royal Navy. There we are, big bow, big wave from you all. Thank you very much, boys and girls. Really super stuff. There's Lieutenant Ben Morgan, Lieutenant Andy Bird, Lieutenant Martin Young, and Petty Officer Williams.
Demonstration of the Royal Navy's Augusta Westland Merlin HM2 there. Now time for something of a very... Indeed, our contribution to the flying programme today from the Royal Netherlands Air Force.
Giving a total thrust of 25,000 pounds. The F-16 is painted in the Dutch national colours, orange, and our Dutch national symbol on top and on the bottom of the aircraft, the lion. And from your right, Stitch will now perform a slow flight. It's going to be performed at 110 knots at an altitude of 300 feet. The altitude is totally maintained by the power settings Stitch is currently doing with his left hand, where the throttle in the F-16 is positioned. And if you look very closely, you can see is a multi-role fighter. Now we're going to perform a simulated touch and go. Of course, we're going to do a little turn in. You see the orange light again.
the simulated touch and go. It's actually going to be a low approach. The F-16 has is geared down right now. It's coming in front on the right hand side from you from the runway. You'll make a low approach and you can see the F-16 with its gear fully extended.
We're going to go now into a segment of aviation history.
Yes, I can't wait to see the next aircraft. Just saying farewell to our guys here. Really good to see you. Hope to see you around the circuit again very soon. Brilliant. Okay, yes, we're going to take you back a few years now to iconic jet flying. Actually in the form of a Hunter. More detail on that in just a second. But a quick reminder of various things going on. We've mentioned the activities in Hangar 3, but don't forget hats, sun cream, and of course lots and lots of water. But right now, I mentioned iconic jet aircraft. Ben, what's this lining up?
Of a 270-degree wing over from Staff Base, and Captain Wilson there just flashing the landing lamp at the crowd to make sure he can all see you waving, and hopefully give him a big wave low level as well as he comes past again.
Yes, I know that Phil's got eyes on all of you there because he's got a whole array of different sensors, cameras, infrared and so on and so forth, all controlled by a funny eyepiece. So tell me about that.
Indeed, it's called the iHAT, a bit of a mouthful, integrated helicopter aids defence system. That can control things. So wherever he's looking, you can motion the gun, the sensors, all the radar.
That's pretty impressive stuff, isn't it? But it must be a bit strange when the aircraft is manoeuvring in the other direction.
It is, yeah. You can imagine if you're sat in the back seat and your sensor is about 14 feet in front of you, when you look sideways, it looks a bit funny.
Wow, almost looked like he was going into a loop there.
Indeed, it's the old 90 degree up, 90 degree down, which I hope Captain Wilson's holding on to his breakfast there. It's a pretty roller coaster ride, that one.
Okay, clearly one of the reasons we can't loop, you may have seen many years ago, the Dutch Apache, that was an A model though, it didn't have that big electronic donut on the top, and it had a slightly more manoeuvrable envelope to expand its display than this D model made by Westerns is capable of.
Yes, indeed, it's a real shame. We'd love to do loops in this thing, but unfortunately we're not allowed.
Belly view there, and that rack of armaments looks really fearsome. So just how many rockets and guns and missiles can you get on those racks?
Yeah, indeed, today with the roll fit we've got today, we've got 2 rocket pods on the outside, and they're the round ones you can see as it flies away. And then in between that and the aircraft you've got the Hellfire rails. Nothing on them today, thank God. But we can carry up to 8 Hellfire missiles today and 38 rockets. So quite a formidable machine just on its own, let alone in a flight of 2 or 3 even.
Yeah, a lovely pedal turn with a great silhouette at the far end there, just correcting back into the display centre line now. Really showing every angle of this awesome machine. So roughly how much do they cost? I've forgotten, it must be mini.
Oh yeah, it's up there with the Typhoon, I think, running about £67 million now with each of the modifications we've had.
That is extraordinary. Oh, that looks very uncomfortable.
Indeed. Yeah, again, another 90 degree up, 90 degree victory down with a little bit of a twist at the end there. And again, I hope Captain Wilson's holding on there.
Now, I understand that over the last few years we've lots of close cooperative work like the Chinook fleet in Afghanistan, and we might get Cosford to go to a full MERT demonstration. Is that sort of something of the future, that cooperative work is really the way it's going to go?
It is, you know, we work hand in hand with every service now in Afghanistan. You have to have a trusting relationship between the air crew, the Chinook guys, and they're going into the dumps, let's be each other, relying on that solely for protection. So there's quite a close relationship gets built on all levels there.
Oh, I would imagine Jamie Folkes there is just really gripping and yearning to roll that aircraft.
No, it's tempting not to. So good 360 degree wing over there, almost looks like a loop, but actually it's just 90 degrees angle of bank put on there.
Now, 662 is a pretty busy squadron. I understand that it's going to deploy again in the new year, is that right?
And that's right, we've just returned in January from Afghanistan, and we're looking like we're going to go back out early next year, so 2014 for our last final.
Jamie Folkes and Phil Wilson, and they're great venerable crew, very, very busy people, and as they get to know more about them. We don't see too much of the Army flying these days. We used to see the Blues many years ago, but hopefully once operations calm down, we'll maybe see a pair of these and bring back the Blues, or who knows.
Indeed, I think there's some work in the pipeline. It would be great to get all three aircraft up at once for a good display.
Brilliant. Okay, JJ, we've got to move you off now because we've got some really exciting stuff coming up as well. Following you on is the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight time, and I know a lot of veterans are here joining us today because we've got some important commemorations. And it became a common practice, actually, towards the end of the war years, and therefore through into the 50s, to fly a Spitfire and a Hurricane down the Mall in London to commemorate the great victory and indeed the losses of the Battle of Britain itself. And eventually the Royal Air Force built in 1957 a collection of their aging aircraft into what was then known as the Royal Air Force Historic Flight. Enough said, really, that whole story and the vision really morphed itself into what we now have, the most wonderful collection of historic aircraft from that period indeed, and it is now our of the display by the Royal Air Force Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. And there the Hurricane and Spitfire break from the Lancaster. There. extraordinary. Tell me, how does it feel sitting and watching your very own aircraft do that?
Well, I must admit, I have rather sort of possessive feeling about the aircraft. But it's lovely that we could actually take off from that end of the runway. So everybody heard the howl, and the was right in our faces as she took off. And then that little bit of a gentle roll to the right, straight in front of the crowd, so you'll see the underside of the aircraft, before pulling into a rather gentle wing over this next time, probably, to position for the next manoeuvre.
The extent to which the Vulcan, like the Spitfire, is loved and renowned by the British public is not in doubt, but another similarity between them, the fact that their designers, respectively R.J. Mitchell for the Spitfire and Roy Chadwick of Avro for the Vulcan, never got to see their creations achieving their greatest fame.
No, Roy Chadwick in particular dying well before it got airborne. R.J. Mitchell saw a little bit of the early development, but nonetheless tragic. And what was amazingly, we're talking about the speed of development in the 40s and 50s. There are just 11 years after the Lancaster Royal creation, the Vulcan took to the skies. Absolutely extraordinary.
You mentioned a gentle wing over.
Yes, well, maybe I exaggerated a little bit. Now, she started manoeuvring outside. That first manoeuvre we did, we still haven't practiced it many times, and therefore we're playing very safe in pulling up to stay well clear of the crowd line. With a bit more practice, maybe we will be getting... Okay, she comes around now, and as she turns around to the left, you should see the bomb doors opening.
And no doubt as the aircraft powers away, you'll both see and feel and hear the power of the four Rolls-Royce Bristol Olympus 201 engines.
16,400 pounds of thrust in each one of them. That is massive, and here it comes now. That's a wonderful howl.
Agility, haven't we, Martin? I mean, most famously demonstrated by Rolly Falk rolling one of the early Vulcans at the 1955 Farnborough show.
Oh yes, I mean you could see from the way Kev was flying it there, the rate of roll, even at low speed, is quite considerable. And the aircraft was actually designed to be able to roll. It was considered to do a roll off the top manoeuvre by tossing bombs forward, and then to escape the enemy and go over into a half loop. The Victor also was capable of doing a roll off the top, in photographs of it. So it's very manoeuvrable. Rolly Falk did it. Nobody has officially done it ever since.
It's quite a magnificent aircraft.
Yeah, the bomb was closing. And yes, the aircraft was designed at that time in the cruise control back in the early 50s, when even pressurization in an aircraft was entirely new. It's got a very small cockpit because of the problem of pressurizing at that sort of level, and it needs more metal as well, to make it a little bit difficult from But I say it was big, powerful, big wing, manoeuvrable, because it could outmaneuver every fighter aircraft of the era, equivalent to something like a starfighter, which had a wing about the size of the tailplane of the Vulcan. It was very, very good in a straight line, but the Vulcan, all it had to do with its sort of coming was to slow down and turn, and the starfighter would go straight on, as would the sort of heat-seeking missiles. So above 50,000 feet, it was considered invincible. The surface-to-air missiles couldn't shoot it down, and it was only after Gary Powers was shot down in a U-2 in the mid-60s that they realised, the U-2 being the Soviet surface-to-air missile, we realised that the Vulcan now could possibly be shot down.
What a sight it was during the Cold War when rows of Vulcans would be arrayed at bases, such as this here at Waddington, Martin, on QRA, Quick Reaction Alert duty.
Yeah, well, up until the late 60s, when the V-Force was the primary nuclear deterrent force that we had, our only nuclear deterrent force, before the Navy took over the Polaris submarine and the Polaris missiles, Vulcans would be detached to different airfields around the country in any sort of alert phase. We had 4 aircraft at each airfield sitting on the end of the runway on the operational platform, and crews could get airborne in the Vulcan. You get 4 aircraft.
There's some great new additions to the display this year, Martin. I'm impressed with the different variations that the crew are putting in here today.
Yeah, and I have to confess, it was all the combined ideas of, well, primarily Bill Ramsey, who's the ex-tutor display pilot, and had a lot of display experience, and worked up with Kev, who's flying it today, to add to the show. It's basically variations of hold.
And that, of course, is why it's so important that Vulcan to the Sky has had this aircraft in flying condition now since near the tail end of 2007, and a remarkable story that is in its own right.
Again, it's not just teamwork on operations, but the considerable teamwork that's gone into maintaining this aircraft in flying condition. And so an apt moment to mention Operation 2015, which is all about keeping this aircraft going. You can learn a lot more about Robert Fleming, his inspiration and hard work, which will keep this aircraft alive.
Entirely funded by a mixture of public donations and the very
enough money to pay for this very expensive engineering work that needs to be done to the leading edges of the wing to keep it going until certainly the end of 2015. So we're Operation 2015 means that we are asking people to put their hands in their pockets again. But I hope you all think it'll be worthwhile. Having seen the Vulcan display here today, she is such a beautiful airplane, something worth preserving in the air, and so we certainly want you to please go on supporting it. Do come along to the Vulcan Village, which is the big tent on right of the far end of the runway is when the aircraft's going to be turning off. The aircraft's there for you to see and to witness. You can walk around it. We're doing tours of the aircraft. We've got lots of interesting merchandise in the tent. And we do need your money, and we do need you all to look at the Vulcan to the Sky website.
Yes, dear, you'll do that, and you can help contribute straight away. If you would like to make a donation from your mobile, just text to VULC133, VULC 133 to number 70070, and that will give a £3 donation to see this marvellous aeroplane stay in the sky. Please give the crew a wave. They can see you now. They can...
Formations with the odd number pilots on the left hand side, the even number pilots on the right hand side, with rows 6 and 7 directly behind the leader. On the bottom executive officer, he's a former Hawk Riding Traveller and Hawk display pilot. An operation with the Harry NGR9 flying over Afghanistan. His wife Susie and their 1-year-old son Fraser are here at Waddington, so a big hello to you, Susie and Fraser. Now, representing the... This year is the 70th anniversary of Operation Chastise, the famous Stanbusters raid carried out by 617 Squadron on the night of the 16th of May 1943. Those brave air crew flew their 19 Lancaster bombers deep into enemy territory to drop their bouncing bombs. 617 Squadron is operating today by the Tornado GR4, which we saw here at Waddington this morning. As the smoke goes off to commemorate 70 years since the Busters, this is Lancaster. One of our pilots has completed a tour with the famous Busters Squadron. Thread 3 is Flight 7 Mark Dawson, and he's on the leader's left wing now. Mark is his first year with the team, and he's spent his first tour in Royal Air Force with 617 Squadron, flying over Iraq and Afghanistan. He then transferred to 9th Squadron, where he flew again over Afghanistan, but also over Libya, support of Operation Elevate in 2011. Smokes on down to team format plane. GR4 pilot and has spent his tour as a Hawk flying instructor. Once again, they continue waving, boys and girls. So to our left 45, you'll see red 6 and 7 move back in behind the leader as they form one big red arrow in the shape of 9 arrows. That's the end of the first half of that display here, where you see...
Wow. Whee! That's a nice one. Back towards us, complete the cyclone. As Lindway swings it out front, into the drive net. The aircraft on the wings now drop down to form an inverted V shape. If we look right, we'll see one lone jet, that is red 9. He's going to fly in between E and V, complete the deuce. Flying to a height around 7,500 feet. The smoke comes on, draw their heart.
حالا بگم دو تا آره 2 تا حالا من هم میرسن آبی و قرمز
Now pulling up in that fixed formation, that 4G. Red 1 now switching this link through 90 degrees in what's known as a quarter clover. Now get your numbers ready for the good bit, ladies and gentlemen. This is the vertical brake.
دو تا آبی و دو تا سفید من دایرکترم
Now Red 1 is making Red 4's work even harder as he comes into a 4G turn away from us.
دیسکو کرد
501st public display, and that's been completed, or those been completed in 54 countries. And to the left now for Jippo and one of So Dippo finished the wonderful corkscrew. Look to your left for the 5 headlights of Enid.
Chop.
The inside violation in the rollback.
But then I saw, and it was with Hannah Burns and
Watch out,
دو تا هستن داره سلفه
the Red Arrow.
We will cut into the air, but cut into the tank. After demonstrating the high speed, you will see solar flight at the minimum speed possible for an F-16 aircraft. For a recent photographer, it's time for you to get your camera ready. If you look carefully enough, you may see the pilot waving his hand. The volume is more flexible. It is almost 360-degree circle, which is very remarkable for such an effective supersonic jet aircraft. When taking a commercial flight, this nose should be highly deeply up and keeping it aesthetics in three-dimension, and I think we deserve
شرقاشم باید بیرون you are seeing to the little villages across the Midwest of the United States, and they just popped up in a field somewhere, said, "Hi girls, you want to come flying?" And really, the nearest car they could find. And I think if you look carefully, ladies and gentlemen, you can see that the two elves are in fact now right down on the next time you see them go by, they'll be waving, but they're upside down. military training. It was a fantastic trainer for the US, also British and Commonwealth pilots went and trained on them over in the United States as well. We mentioned the she is a former Taekwondo black belt champion.
Yes, not one feet in the dark alley. She's only about 5 feet tall and weighs about 6 stone. The five words she takes the front. Now, big lead coming out of the
Because these have got to put their arms back. Come on, they're going to go up. Are they going to lose it? So they have got to really work hard at this, and they go through a thorough and very vigorous selection to see absolutely. And Freya, I can say, George, also performed as various Disney characters at Disneyland Paris, which involved dressing up as various princesses and Winnie the Pooh.
Well, absolutely. So we now look at it, but the girls are lying on their sides this time, and they're still holding a stretch on their legs. Isn't that just fantastic?
End of this season. So right at the top is the hardest position of all. Now you see right at the very top, or the second man down, he's carrying cameras. So he's actually filming the team in their descent. You'll see him just sort of poke himself out and back in again during this descent. So the wind up there, gentlemen, does that not make you proud to be British?
To be right now.